Hi there, welcome to Lush Living. Today's topic is top strategies or just some strategies for when you're in spasm. And usually it's a low back spasm. Sometimes it could be a hip, but I think this will probably apply more to low back issues. So I'm Katie, the creator of Lush Living. So thanks for joining me. I'm going to use 3 props today to go through everything. So I'm going to start with my favorite butt ball, my favorite half foam roller, and a yoga block brick. Just as a side note, a fellow yogi told me that we like to call these bricks because bricks are what we build to create a house, and a block is a toy that a child plays with. So I need to start calling these bricks. Anyways, so a couple years ago, one of my closest girlfriends, I think she called me while I was at work and said, I am trapped on my living room floor and I can't get up. I've fallen and I can't get up. But she didn't fall. She was in such a horrendous back spasm that she was literally trapped to her floor and had spent the night laying on her bedroom floor, which is really scary, and quite literally could not move. So I quickly canceled my next client. She luckily lived really close to the studio, and I went to her home and I laid on the floor with her, and I, over the course of an hour and a half, so I canceled 2 clients. Over the course of an hour and a half, I slowly got her off the floor, and it was scary and it was painful for her. And I've had lots of clients who come to the studio when they're in acute low back pain or spasm, or maybe even develop a spasm while they're working out, which is our worst nightmare, but it sometimes happens. So these are my go-to strategies of when you're having that spasm, you can't move, you're stuck on the floor thing. So before you even use the props, you have to breathe. That would be the very first thing. So with my girlfriend in particular, I got down on the floor with her and I just had her breathe. And we played around with some belly breathing, some rib cage breathing, and some axial, vertebral lengthening breathing. So just to kind of run you through that, just because it kind of helps. But if you put your hands on your tummy and if you breathe in and you deliberately try to inflate your belly like a balloon, and then exhale and try to deflate the balloon and just see what happens in your body, chances are you're on the floor because you're in an acute spasm. So trying this on the floor might be a little bit easier, but you just breathe into your belly and you deflate your belly. And then what I like to imagine is if I could inflate the back of me and the front of me sort of evenly, like a little balloon, that is sort of what I imagine. So when I inhale, I'm not just inflating my tummy, I'm inflating my back as well. So you inhale to feel the 2 ends coming away from one another, and then exhale, feel them coming toward one another, and then same thing, you inhale, and then you exhale. Okay, so then rib cage breathing, if you gave yourself a hug, you can feel your fingertips on the sides of your ribs, and you're going to breathe into your fingertips, kind of like fish gills, and then exhale, and you can feel how you kind of give yourself a tight little hug. And then again, inhaling, you can see my fingers spread out, and then exhaling, see how they disappear, and again, inhale, see how they poke out, and then exhale, see how they disappear. So that's rib cage breathing. And then axial, you feel like the base of your pelvis is sort of sinking into the floor, but you also feel like your head is reaching up to the ceiling at the same time. And again, you're laying on the floor, but you would inhale and you can feel the 2 ends separating from one another, and then exhale and feel how they slightly compress and shrink in. So you inhale and exhale. Inhale and you feel the 2 ends elongating, and then you exhale and you feel them coming back to center. So then you can combine all 3 of those where you inhale front to back, left to right, and top to bottom, and you picture yourself like a balloon, like a ball, inflating in all directions at once. You would inhale and exhale and feel all the 3 forces kind of shrinking, and you would inhale and feel the bubble expand. Exhale and feel the bubble shrink. And again, inhale and feel the bubble expand in every direction. And then exhale, shrink. So you would start with that just to like get your nervous system to calm down and maybe potentially relax the spasm. Step 2 is sitting on your magic ball. Now, assuming you can get yourself off the floor, maybe, hopefully you can potentially get yourself to standing. My girlfriend, we could not. So we got her on a really low chair, which ultimately ended up working. But you can sit, I'm going to sit on a children's chair just for height reasons right now. But you're going to sit on a really hard surface chair. This is like not a cute angle, but we're going to go with it. Actually, I'll lift you up a little higher so you can see me a little better. But so you're going to sit on a hard surface chair on your about 50% deflated butt ball, so that you feel like your pubic bone is hanging off the front, your tailbone is hanging off the back, and that you feel both sides of your pelvis sort of draping. So the image that I have is if you picture like a strawberry and then you go to like drip chocolate and you can see how it sort of drips over the side. That's what my pelvis is doing over the ball. So I talked about this a little bit last week, how sitting on this ball gives you a little bit of a pelvic floor release, but it's more than that. If you've heard of the word fascia, fascial lines, that's a very in vogue thing, your fascia. So your fascia runs all over your body. It's a connective tissue. And I'm like trying to get my legs out of the way. So you have fascia everywhere. And what it does is it connects from the front of your body to the back of your body, right? And that point of sort of going down the front, but down the back, and then it swoops up the other side, it all sort of happens at the base of your pelvis. So sort of the highway of all your fascia sort of meets at the base of your pelvis and then shoots up the other direction, or maybe down a leg or whatever. So it's nice to sit on a deflated ball because you're releasing the fascial lines at the base of the pelvis, which should actually relax your tummy, but also it can relax your back. It can relax the SI joints, the sacrum, and then also the piriformis that tends to get really aggravated. So when people get like a spasm down their leg, some piriformis, sciatica issues, sitting on this is a quick, immediate relief. And as I'm talking, we've been here for a couple minutes, but it's a really nice way. The longer you sit on here, the more you can feel your pelvis sort of just drape over it, like that chocolate dripping over the strawberry. And that can usually give you a really quick release and any sort of like true spasm. You can play around with that breathing we did earlier, where you're breathing front to back, left to right, top to bottom. You can feel how that your pelvic floor will sink into the ball when you do some really deep breathing. You can actually feel the pressure increase into the ball when you inhale. And then you can feel how it backs off when you exhale, which is also kind of a fun fact, that your pelvic floor drops when you inhale and then sort of elevates when you exhale. So you can feel that. And after you've been here a few minutes, it's nice to remove the ball and then have a seat, and then it feels like you're sitting in a ditch, which is a little goofy, but it feels good, and you feel like you've got some room and space, and that might be all you need. And then you're good, you're on your way, and you can kind of go about life. And if that's not quite enough, you need one more thing to sort of down-regulate your nervous system. It's a psoas release, but I'm going to do a modified version where it's not quite so steep. So we're going to take your brick and your half foam roller. I'm going to back it up a little bit. So you're going to have it so that your brick is, it's like, we call this like a toaster position. So it's like this. So it's a vertical, it's like a horizontal wide. And then the rocker side down of the foam roller, and your shoulders are going to rest here, and then your head is actually going to rest here. And what you'll do is you're going to lie down. Hopefully you can get yourself in this position. If you can't, just skip it. You would lie down, kind of finagle your props. The foam roller is going to kind of sit a little bit high because it's supposed to tilt down. Ideally, I would have my legs all the way straight on the floor. And what it's doing is it's letting my chest sort of drop. I'm a little bit hammocky in my back. I'm tight today. And then you would hang out here for a period of time and just breathe. Same thing, you don't need to do anything when you're here. This is a psoas release. A psoas tends to hold a lot of tension. It connects to the low back. It unfortunately gets real wound up, especially on one side. So when a lot of people have an acute back spasm, sometimes it could be the psoas, even though they think it's a low back muscle. But the longer you hang out here, the longer it puts slack on your tissues, specifically the psoas. It gives you some relief. It gives you some recuperation. I think when people go into spasm, there's an adrenaline probably dump that occurs that gets people real frazzled afterward. So this is a nice place to just like unwind and calm the body back down. And the longer you hang out here, the better, just like the other one. So I'm going to hang out here and hang out here and hang out here. You can feel as you spend more and more time in this position how the ribs will just sort of settle down as a natural result. You can kind of see that. And it feels really nice and really soothing. Usually in all these positions, I wait for that exact moment until I yawn, because that's a body indicator that you've downregulated, you've calmed your nervous system. That might actually unwind the spasm. And then the best way to come out of this is to bend your knees and then just really carefully roll onto your side, sort of off the props. Use your hands and then come up to sitting or standing any way you can. But those are my favorite strategies to get you out of an acute spasm or any sort of spasm. Hip, low back. Doesn't work for a foot cramp, but it might. You never know. So you can breathe 3-dimensionally. You can sit on the butt ball, releasing the fascia. And then you can finish with a little psoas release and maybe cycle through the whole thing. It'll take you under 10 minutes, and I guarantee the spasm will probably unwind a little bit. Your nervous system will be calmer. This is when you would potentially pop a pain pill, call your chiropractor or your body practitioner, and know that you are not broken, but it is just your body telling you that something's a little off and that you should pay attention to it and you should honor it and you should not ignore it. And then come see me and I can figure out what the main root of the problem is. All right, thanks so much for joining. I hope you learned something. If you have a question, leave something in the comments. If you want more information like this, you can join my weekly email at katylush.com, KATYLUSH.com for more interesting ideas on how to eliminate pain, deal with pain or injury, and also how to move better and healthier. All right, thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.